After a rough storm, the crew of a small ship find themselves stranded on a deserted island. With little to eat on the island and increasing disparity, the group comes across an unidentified berry. Let's call it Juji. Not knowing if it is safe for consumption, they decide to test it on a single person. An hour passes and the person appears to be fine, so the others eat it as well. Now, let's skip ahead a couple of years. 3 years have passed since the ship crashed, and not only has our group survived, they all seem to be in good health. By now, Juji has become a staple in their diet, except for a couple of them who are suspicious of it so they don't consume it. So, after 3 years of daily consumption, and not by a single person but by a group, and after seeing that the group who eats Juji seems to be just as healthy as the group who doesn't eat it, it is pretty safe to conclude that Juji is probably harmless. We'll return to our group of survivors later on. Now, Juji doesn't actually exist, but what if we told you that there is a group of ingredients that is being consumed, not by a small group, but by billions, for more than half a century by now, and despite not being linked to any disease or illness after being consumed so widely, are still deemed harmful and feared by many? Pretty weird, right? The ingredients in question, which are the topic of this video, are none other than artificial sweeteners. Why is it that this bunch of ingredients are feared by so many? Where does it stem from, and does it have any merit to it? Let's examine these questions. First of all, let's understand what artificial sweeteners are. As the name suggests, they are a group of synthetic compounds that are used as a substitution for sugar. While synthetic, meaning unnatural, some of them are actually derived from natural sources such as plants or even sugar itself. Unlike sugar, however, artificial sweeteners aren't carbohydrates, so they have little to no caloric value, making them great for individuals who desire to lose or maintain weight. Another property they are known for is their extreme sweetness. They are so sweet, in fact, they range from hundreds to thousands of times sweeter than sucrose, the main constituent in white sugar. This potency is what makes their taste noticeable even in very small amounts. Since they were discovered, artificial sweeteners are amongst the most rigorously tested groups of compounds. Over the past century, they have been under constant scrutiny and underwent thousands of studies. Some of them were found to be perfectly safe and were approved for use, while others were found to be potentially harmful and subsequently got banned. It's important to note that just because some artificial sweeteners are unsafe, it doesn't mean that others are unsafe. For example, both lead and silver are metals, but lead is poisonous while silver is not. Let's focus then on those approved in the US, since they are the ones actually concerning us, being in our food and drinks. These ones, to be specific. Like all other food additives in the United States, they first need to undergo pre-market review and approval by the FDA, and all ingredients must comply with the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, or FD&C in short. Currently, these 6 aforementioned artificial sweeteners are the ones approved, and they can be found everywhere, from soft drinks, baking products, various canned foods, candy, and more. So, why do people fear them if they have been declared safe for consumption? One issue often voiced by critics of artificial sweeteners is their link to cancer. That concern is largely based on studies done back in the 1970s that linked saccharin to bladder cancer in rats. Those studies resulted in a warning label that saccharin might be bad for you, but since then, many studies have found that the link between saccharin and cancer does not apply to humans and is specific to rodent physiology, so the warning label was removed. Today, the National Cancer Institute states that there is no sound scientific evidence that any of the artificial sweeteners approved for use in the US cause cancer, or other serious health problems for that matter. So what about the fact that they are, well, artificial? Doesn't that in itself make them less healthy than natural sugars? The idea that something is good for you because it is natural or bad for you because it is unnatural is called appeal to nature. It is a logical fallacy and can be easily refuted. For example, many different types of poisons that kill us, such as cyanide, are completely natural, while many life-saving medicines are manufactured by completely unnatural means. So, in regards to artificial sweeteners, the mere fact that they are synthetic doesn't mean they are worse. In fact, in some ways, they are healthier than sugar. The massive book, Sweeteners and Sugar Alternatives in Food Technology, was written by an international panel of experts on the subject and reviews hundreds of studies on the subject. In regards to dental health, it writes, "Little is known about the dental effects of high-potency sweeteners, but due to their composition, they are very unlikely to promote dental caries." It's important to note that since these low-calorie sweeteners provide a really strong taste with little volume, they are often mixed with bulking agents in order to give them more volume, and that these bulking agents may themselves be potentially cariogenic. On the topic of obesity, it summarizes, "Overall, evidence suggests that foods formulated with non-nutritive intense sweeteners, reduced calorie bulk sweeteners, and bulking agents can play an interesting and useful role in helping consumers to improve their energy balance of their diets and as part of weight-reducing diets. Contrary to some reports, the main body of published data shows that these ingredients, when incorporated into foods with low caloric density and/or reduced glycemic impact, can help consumers to eat less calories overall." So, when regarding obesity and dental health, artificial sweeteners are usually the better choice. Now, before we wrap it up, let's return for a minute to our fictitious berry Juji and our group of survivors. There's an important takeaway here. The method we determined Juji was safe for consumption is a type of what's known as observational study. It means that the data was obtained using observations rather than experiments, where we intervene and manipulate the subject at hand. Like in experiments, evidence obtained using observations gains strength the larger the sample size is. Unlike our group of survivors, when we analyze artificial sweeteners, our sample size is massive. With a huge number of people who consume them and a huge number of people who avoid them that we compare them to, and decades of consumption by now, it is very unlikely they are harmful in any meaningful way. If we contrast it with smoking, for example, we can conclude by observations alone that smoking is harmful, since we observe higher cancer rates among smokers compared to non-smokers. So, that's our take on artificial sweeteners. We hope this video will help you make a more informed decision when regarding whether to use them or not, and as always, many thanks for watching.